In this video, we will be discussing the blood supply of the eye and the blood-retinal barrier. The journey begins with the internal carotid artery, which gives off the ophthalmic artery as its first branch distal to the cavernous sinus. The ophthalmic artery enters the orbit through the optic canal and serves as the main source of blood to the eye. From it arise two essential vascular systems: the central retinal artery, which nourishes the inner retina, and the ciliary arteries, which supply the outer retina, the choroid, the ciliary body, and the iris. The central retinal artery originates from the ophthalmic artery, travels within the optic nerve sheath, and enters the globe through the lamina cribrosa. Once inside the eye, it divides into superior and inferior arcades, which further branch into nasal and temporal divisions. These vessels provide circulation to the inner 6 layers of the retina. Simultaneously, the posterior ciliary arteries arise directly from the ophthalmic artery and are divided into short and long branches. 15 to 20 short posterior ciliary arteries pierce the sclera around the optic nerve and enter the choroid, forming the arterial circle of Zinn-Halla, which supplies the optic nerve head and the cor ocularis. The 2 long posterior ciliary arteries also pierce the sclera near the posterior pole and run forward between the sclera and choroid to reach the ciliary body. Here they join with the anterior ciliary arteries to form the major arterial circle of the iris. The anterior ciliary arteries themselves arise from muscular branches that supply the rectus muscles. Each rectus muscle, except the lateral rectus, contributes 2 anterior ciliary arteries, while the lateral rectus typically contributes only 1. These arteries reach the limbus, penetrate it, and feed into the iris and ciliary body via the major arterial circle. In some individuals, a cilio-retinal artery is present. This artery does not originate from the central retinal artery but from the ciliary circulation, usually a branch of a short posterior ciliary artery. It supplies a part of the macula and may preserve central vision in cases of central retinal artery occlusion. The iris has 2 arterial rings. The major arterial circle is located at the ciliary body where the long posterior and anterior ciliary arteries anastomose. The minor arterial circle is situated near the pupillary margin and supplies the pupillary zone, including the sphincter pupillae. Now we move to the blood-retinal barrier. This barrier forms part of the blood-ocular barrier, which protects ocular tissues from potentially harmful substances. It has 2 main components. The inner blood-retinal barrier is made of non-fenestrated endothelial cells with tight junctions lining the retinal vessels, preventing large molecules and plasma components from leaking into the neural retina. This function is very similar to the blood-brain barrier. The outer blood-retinal barrier is formed by the retinal pigment epithelium, which lies between the neurosensory retina and the fenestrated cor ocularis. Tight junctions between the pigment epithelial cells prevent free diffusion from the choroid into the subretinal space and help maintain the ionic and metabolic homeostasis required for photoreceptor function. In summary, the ophthalmic artery gives rise to the central retinal artery for the inner retina and to the posterior ciliary arteries for the outer retina, choroid, ciliary body, and iris. Anastomotic networks like the arterial circle of Zinn-Halla and the major arterial circle of the iris ensure collateral supply. The blood-retinal barrier, with its endothelial and epithelial tight junctions, maintains the immune privilege and fluid balance of the retina. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more ophthalmology videos.